a really useful thing you can do with keyword clustering is keyword mapping. So that is mapping keywords back to pages. Now, you might be wanting to do this for SEO purposes. You might have a load of keywords and you might have a load of pages and want to know which keywords can go to what pages. Or you might be doing this for PPC. A typical case study for this was we had a client come to us and they wanted to launch a massive PPC campaign. They knew all the keywords they wanted to target, but they didn't know if they already had the pages that they could map the keywords to. So they gave us a list of their keywords and we pulled all of their pages and we wanted a map to tell them which ones didn't already exist. And so which ones they still need to create pages to and which ones they could map already to an existing page. Now, to go over this, there is some, probably a prior video you might want to watch. So earlier on in the series, we'll talk about how we can use keyword clustering for keyword cannibalization and solving that. And one of the techniques we did was turning the URL into a keyword. Now, the reason we do that is, and if you haven't seen that video, I'd recommend going back to it. It's called Solving Keyword Cannibalizations Method 2. But the long and short of it is, if you turn the URL into a keyword, you can then actually start clustering the keywords, in inverted commas, but they're actually URLs, to group similar keywords together. If the URL doesn't make sense, then you could also pull the page title, the H1, and group them together. But this will become obvious about how this helps with keyword mapping shortly. The main point I wanted to get across is pull the URL and turn it into a keyword, or from the URL, take some form of keyword, normally the page title or the H1 or something that you can identify that that page is trying to rank for. Cool. So coming back to our example, we will start by turning the URLs into keywords. Now, I've redacted the client here just so to keep some confidence, but basically what we wanted to do was, as I just said, turn this long URL into the keyword that it's trying to rank for. So we used some formula to strip out the HTTPS, the subfolder, and basically just leave us with that URL. As I said, you could just do this with a H1 or page title if the URL doesn't make sense, or if maybe it's got just a load of numbers in that don't make sense, so you could do that way. Then you want to add an identifier. So I always just use concatenate and add a little exclamation mark to each one of the keywords. And remember, these keywords are actually the URL or the page title or the H1, but all we want to do is just add this little exclamation mark here. Where we're going with this, and as you'll see, is because if I Googled essential mist diffuser and I Googled essential mist diffuser with an exclamation mark, it doesn't actually change the search results. So adding this exclamation mark is just going to be, as I said, an easy way for me to identify which of my keywords are actually URLs, if that makes sense. Maybe you can see where I'm going with this. I'm going to upload this with a load of actual keywords, and any with an exclamation mark, I already know I've got a URL for, and any without an exclamation mark is a keyword from my keyword research. That's where I'm going, but I'll come to that in a second. The next thing we want to do after we've added the identifier is give each one of them a really high search volume. Now, if you've watched our previous video on the keyword clustering module and how to use it, you'll know that every keyword cluster gets named after the keyword with the most volume. So for example, looking at this particular project, this keyword cluster is called Free Keyword Research Tool because out of all the keywords in this cluster, it has got the most volume. In this cluster here, we're calling it Competitor Keyword Research because out of all the 47 keywords, this keyword, Competitor Research, has 9,000, which is more than anyone else, which is why we've named the card that. So we want to give each one of these keywords with the identifier a really high volume. So hopefully you can start to see where this is going. When I cluster these, each keyword cluster is going to be named after the one with the most volume. And if I've got a page for it, it's also going to have an exclamation mark. Cool. And as I'd sort of given away before, now I've clustered all the keywords. What you're seeing here is each one with an exclamation mark means I already have a page for it. There's a page because I've tokenized the URL into a keyword. There is a page for that. And the cluster cards are named after that because I've given it the most volume. So it makes it really easy to scan across and see that, okay, I already have a page for automatic sprays. I already have a page for room spray. I already have a page for plug-in vibrant scented oils. I already have these pages. And then all the keywords under it are all the keywords I've done from my keyword research that I've combined with this. So you can see I've merged my tokenized URLs with my keyword research And because I've given them the high volume, the exclamation mark, it's grouping them all together. You can also then do a bit of cool VLOOKUP magic here, and I've just exported this and done some VLOOKUP magic. So I also just wanted to very quickly show them all the ones they didn't have a page for. So you can see here, these are all the keywords that can map to this page. These are all the keywords that can map to this page. Each one of these, if I expanded it, had a load of keywords that map to it. These are all the ones I don't have pages for. So it's very easy to use keyword clustering by tokenizing the URL or the H1 or page title into a keyword, combining that with my actual keyword research, and then looking at the report to see which keywords could map to what and what keywords I don't have a page for.